All right, let's dive into chapter 6 of The Hunger Games. This is where Katniss and Peeta get their first real taste of the capital, and it is a city of just impossible luxury. But as we're about to see, there's something truly terrifying hiding just beneath that glittering surface. It's a reality that's going to force Katniss to face not just the games, but also the haunting weight of her own past. And right from the get-go, the contrast is just staggering. For Katniss, the capital isn't just a new place, it's a whole other planet. I mean, her only experience with an elevator is this dark, creaky box that smells like sour milk. And now, she's in a crystal rocket shooting straight into the sky. It's thrilling, sure, but it's also incredibly isolating. It's her very first taste of a world that feels completely unreal. And that feeling of being an outsider, it only gets more intense when she sees her quarters. These aren't just rooms, they're basically a gilded cage. This place is bigger than her entire house back in District 12, and it's packed with technology that's so advanced, it feels like straight up magic, or maybe a warning. The sheer access is just everywhere. Katniss finds a shower with like 100 different buttons for soaks and scents and water pressure. Now, for a girl from District 12, where even a little bit of hot water is a huge deal, it's completely overwhelming. In the capital, even the most basic things are turned into these moments of pure automated luxury. And it doesn't stop at the shower. The same thing happens with her closet. She doesn't have to pick an outfit. She just has to think about what she wants, and poof, there it is. This is more than just convenient. It's a huge statement about the massive gulf between her world and this one. A world of effortless gratification that's basically built on the struggles of her own. But the real gut punch, the most painful contrast of all, it's the food. Katniss has spent her entire life fighting off starvation, and now she can just whisper what she wants into a little mouthpiece, and a gourmet meal appears in seconds. The capital literally uses hunger as a weapon against the districts, but here, food is just an endless, thoughtless commodity. It's a really cruel irony that just screams injustice. But here's the thing about all this luxury. It's not a gift. It's a tool. It's about fattening up the tributes before the slaughter. Every single moment here is a performance, which brings us to their first strategy dinner. This is where the real game truly begins. So this dinner isn't really about eating. It's all about strategy. The team is finally together. You've got Effie trying to spin a good story. Haymitch is actually clean and sober for once, and the stylists are this calming presence. And then there's Katniss and Peeta just sitting there, quiet, watching everything, desperately trying to figure out the rules before they're thrown to the wolves. And then you have Effie, who tries to sell her tributes with this line that she thinks sounds super clever. But her little saying actually shows how clueless the capital really is. Like Katniss points out, she's just factually wrong. Coal turns to diamonds, not pearls. It's this shallow, empty phrase that shows exactly how they see the districts. Just some raw material to be polished up for their entertainment. Haymitch, on the other hand, he gets it. He sees the real power move. By holding hands during the ceremony, Katniss and Peeta showed up as a team, not just rivals. In a game that's designed to make kids murder each other, that simple act of unity was, as he calls it, the perfect touch of rebellion. It made them stand out, and in the Hunger Games, standing out is a huge part of staying alive. But just when they're starting to get a handle on this world of strategy and spectacle, boom, the whole glittering facade just cracks wide open. A ghost from Katniss's past shows up at dinner, and all of a sudden, the true horror of this city is on full display. A server walks in with a flaming cake, and for Katniss, everything just stops. She recognizes this girl. It's more than just the red hair or the pale skin. It's this deep, sinking feeling, a memory she's tried to bury. And the look of absolute terror on the server's face, yeah, that confirms Katniss's worst fears. And the tension just skyrockets when Effie Trinket asks this sharp, almost disgusted question. How could you possibly know an Avox? That word just hangs in the air, totally foreign and menacing. What in the world is an Avox? Well, the answer is just brutal. An Avox is a traitor, a criminal against the capital, and as punishment, their tongue is cut out. They're forced to live as silent servants. So this girl isn't just a server. She's a living, breathing symbol of the capital's horrifying power. She's a warning, hiding in plain sight. Before Katniss can say something that gets her into deep trouble, Peeta jumps in. He makes up this story on the spot, saying the girl reminds him of someone from back home. It's a clumsy lie, sure, but it works. It breaks the tension. In that one moment, he totally saves her. But he also puts her in his debt, again, making their whole situation even more complicated. Katniss is completely haunted by this. She knows she has to tell someone the truth. And surprisingly, she decides to trust Peeta. So they head to the one place in this super high-tech tower where they might actually have some privacy, the roof. And up on that roof, man, the difference between their worlds is just right there in your face. Katniss thinks about evenings back home in District 12, lit by candles, because electricity is so rare. But here, the capital sparkles below them like a vast field of fireflies, just burning through an endless supply of power. It's a beautiful sight that highlights a really ugly truth. So in the quiet of this rooftop garden, Katniss finally tells him what really happened. It all started in the woods, with Gale. She describes how, all of a sudden, the birds just went silent, except for one. It was like a warning call that something was very, very wrong. And then a hovercraft just appeared out of nowhere. The capture was so fast and so brutal. The girl, the Avox, was snatched up in a net and yanked into the air. Her friend was impaled with a spear and dragged up like he was nothing. This memory makes the Capitol's cruelty painfully real, not just something you see on TV. And here it is. This is the thing that's been eating her alive. For just a second, as they were taking her, the girl looked right at Katniss. It was a clear, desperate plea for help. But Katniss and Gale, they just stayed hidden in the woods, completely frozen. They saw it all, and they did absolutely nothing. You know, telling the story doesn't make her feel any better. It just makes her understand how deep this all goes, how she's a part of it too. Her past has just crashed head-on into her present, and now Katniss has to face the real price of staying silent. Later, back in her room, it hits her. She realizes her shame isn't just about making a scene at dinner. It's about the fact that she stood by and watched the Capitol destroy 2 people without lifting a finger. And then comes this chilling realization. It was just like watching the games. The Avox girl isn't just a symbol of the Capitol's cruelty anymore. For Katniss, she's a symbol of her own personal failure. This line just says it all. Katniss knows that in that moment, she was that girl's last hope. And she did nothing. That is a heavy, heavy weight to carry into an arena where every choice could be your last. And that leads us to the final, haunting thought of the chapter. Katniss is lying there in her luxurious bed, terrified, and she asks herself this chilling question. It's a question about guilt, about consequences, and about the strange, terrible bonds that are forged under the Capitol's watchful eye. And it's the question we're left with as the Hunger Games get closer and closer.